lizard, 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 lizard.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the IAG Thursday Thing, this thing that we do every Thursday, even when we start a little later than we normally would. Unfortunately, I had to run to the airport for my wife, and there was no way I was making it back in time. But you know what? I think this is kind of cool because we have new faces in the crowd that we normally don't have on the show. So I think we're going to get some different questions and some different ears hitting this, and I think it's pretty cool. And maybe we'll have to do a couple more of these later night ones because I think we kind of mix it up a little bit. I think this is working out good. Joined by my partner in crime as usual, Warranty. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Dewey, I'm doing great. I got two updates for you. One we already talked about before we started recording, which is I think the meme economy is doing just fine.
Oh, yeah.
And number two, I realized today that Gen Z brought back Crocs. It's entirely possible that Gen Z brings back Ja Rule.
I don't know, man. You're asking a lot. What is blowing my mind, and just to hit that, I went to go buy pants for like school clothes shopping for my kid, my youngest. And it's bad when I'm going, holy crap, this stuff's really baggy now. Like, it's all baggy jeans. I'm like, what? What is this? Freaking 97? Like, are we going to frost my kid's tips on his hair? Like, what are we doing?
Do it preemptively.
Yeah, he's going to be the cool kid. That was wild. Yeah, I don't know. What's wrong with me?
Yep.
Producer Jordan is floating around. He's in the crowd somewhere. I'm sure he's going to pop in and, bust some lizard meme out.
Lizard.
And Randy made us a quick little thumbnail. I always like having Randy around. So Randy's also in the crowd. What up, Randy? We appreciate it. So this week, honestly, we didn't have too much of a topic this week other than I think we've got a kind of a decent little chat we can have. And I think we're going to open the floor up to some new and interesting folks, and we can chat about whatever kind of comes to mind. But there was I have a feeling this conversation is going to go off the rails a little bit, and if we keep it on this topic, it's probably going to fill up damn near a full podcast. So let's start with last month, so July. Subaru reported a astonishingly low amount of WRXs sold. How many was that exactly? You pulled that report up, right?
Yep. 457 WRXs sold in the month of July 2025.
Which, now let's put this into perspective a little bit. That car that started in 22. Okay. So that I'm not saying the car is super long in the tooth, especially for a Subaru, which they, hell, look at the VA and the GR. They went damn near a decade. You know what I mean? So we're getting to the point where I think people have kind of made up their minds with certain stuff, whether they liked it or not. You're going to have a hard time attracting new eyes to it. I think that's fair. First off, what do you think is the cause for that?
Okay, so
I know you've got.
I do a lot of statistics for my job as a actuarial analyst. I think it's mostly natural because first year, obviously, you're going to get a lot of cars sold. That first year was way higher than what we're at now. And then every year it's going to get a little bit lower because, okay, the car is newer, people have bought them. We also have some weird things going on with tariffs. So I don't think the WRX is suddenly hated. I think most of it's natural and planned. Every car company, and I'm sure Subaru is no exception, runs on spreadsheets just like I do in the insurance industry. They plan all this stuff out. So our topic is okay. WRX sales month to date are down by 66%. Somehow in June they sold 1,300, but they only sold 450 in July, and then a couple of the lower quality auto blogs picked it up and said, "Oh, Subaru's dying.
So
WRX is dying because it's down 66%." I don't buy it.
I'm of the belief that maybe that data is a bit skewed. Okay, supply stuff. People are waiting on, maybe they're pre-ordered for a particular model and color or whatever, and it hasn't actually shown up yet. There's probably a little more to that. Okay, so it probably looks a little worse than it is, but I mean that's an alarming number, dude.
It is. Yeah. And if you look at, let's say, year to date, it's probably
Yeah.
a better comparison. So I got the year to date pulled up from the last 3 years. So July 2025 year to date. So that's 7 months of this year, 6,800, call it 6,900 cars sold. This time last year, um, almost 11,000. So year to date, the WRX is down 35%. So let's go back a year. Last year, so that's 2024 versus 2023, it was down another 38% because 2023 through July was 17,000. Let's go back to the first year. And okay, so 22 was actually an increase versus 23 because the car was brand new and they were just throwing them out the factory, getting them on the boats as fast as possible. So it was only 8,700 in 2022. All right, so through July 2023, I'm sorry, through July 2023 was the high point at 17,000 cars sold for the WRX. Now it's at, call it 6,900. That's pretty low. That's like, call it half. I'm being generous there. That's less than half in just 2 years. That's kind of a big decrease in only 2 years.
How fast can you look up data? Because I'm interested in something that Randy just said in the chat too. I'd be interested to see those
me.
numbers compared to the BRZ.
Okay, well, let's look. I got those numbers here. So BRZ, let's just look at year to date to get rid of some of the noise.
Yeah.
So, all right, BRZ this time this year versus last year, it's about flat. 1,900 sold 2025, first 7 months of the year. Meanwhile, it was 1,700 last year, so an increase of, call it 12%. Let's go back a year. 2023, 2,800 sold. So that was a significant decrease from 23 into 24, and numbers about the same in 25. That's a 40% decrease
But
from 23 to
I
24.
haven't heard any like auto blog or whatever screaming about how the BRZ is dead and it's a pointless platform. In fact, all you hear is raving about it
Right.
still.
Right, exactly.
So-
And if we go to 2022, it was another large increase, again, because the model year was brand new. So it was a 50% increase from 22 into 23, again, July year to date. So yeah, I agree with you. The numbers are broadly similar, except the BRZ didn't die off this year like the WRX did, and nobody's complaining about it.
Yep. And then, Adam said, but to be fair, the BRZ is pretty niche compared to the WRX. I agree with that, and I don't.
Yeah.
I think that's where this argument's going to come in a little bit. Okay. And where, long story short, here's kind of my take on this. I think sales of the WRX, of new WRXs, are probably going to slow down a decent amount. Okay. And reason for that is this model is already kind of getting through its life cycle, and Subaru's been very adamant nothing new or interesting is probably going to be coming that's going to like change the game. There's not going to be an STI, you know what I mean, of this version. They've already started teasing newer and different things. So I think what the VB is what the VB is. Now, it doesn't make the VB a bad car. There's a lot of things I love about the VB, especially, I gotta be real, man. I was anti-VB until I got to run around in ours at IAG's for a weekend, and kind of fell in love with the car. Okay. It's for a daily that can do just about everything. I think it's fantastic. It is a little larger, but after you lower it and you get the plastic cladding painted and do some small stuff because it just picks up gobs of power without even trying. It's a great car. Um,
Yeah.
I'm really psyched to drive it with we just released going to be releasing a stock location turbo for it. And I guess it really lights it up. So I'm psyched about
Nice.
super psyched about some of the stuff still coming for it, and those who have bought it or maybe are still planning on purchasing it or maybe going to pick it up used, because new cars are expensive. I get it. There's still a lot happening with this platform, but we are starting to get to the point where people are going to start looking at what is the next thing. And there are certain things the VB did really right and some things I think the VB did a little wrong. And that's kind of, so I think what today's conversation is going to be, what do we want to see out of the next, what do we want to see out of the thing that replaces the VB? Let's call it the VC. Just, what do we want to see?
Yeah. Before we do that,
Sure.
I want to go back to VA WRX sales because I just found it on a third-party website.
That's another thing. This will be fun. Like, how did the last couple of years of the VA, what did that look like? Now, some of that's going to be skewed too because of COVID.
That's true. So let's see. Gosh, this website kind of sucks, but we're going to get through it. All right. So 2025 year to date, I'll call it 6,900. That's a partial year. Going back 1 year for the full year, it's 18,600. Okay. So we're talking, you're not going to catch 2024 in a full year. Now let's go back to, let's say 2019. Where's my WRX? God, this website is awful. There we go. Okay.
Adam is also putting in there, that also includes the STI though. You got to remember, and those are kind of two separate models.
That's right. So 2020, 21,000 cars. 2019, 22,000 cars. 2018, almost 29,000 cars sold. There is not a single year in the VBWX that comes close to 2018 and prior. Subaru was selling about 30,000 of those cars, and now they're selling, call it 18,000 every year.
Yeah.
That's not the same. And I would say, yeah, probably 10,000 is people like me that do not want to buy a WRX under any circumstances. So that probably explains half of that 10,000.
Yeah,
I don't know. You
were going to be hell bent on an STI. And when the STI didn't happen, I think a bunch of us got butt hurt. I'm not going to lie. I was one of them. That's fair.
Yep. And I'm sad because the VBWX is the best WRX that's ever been made. And it's the best engine that's ever been made. It's got, I'm sure, way better breakdown rates in terms of engine reliability versus the old EJ or even the FA20 for that matter. But it's not an STI. And also, I really don't like the touchscreen inside. So, like, two reasons why I wouldn't buy one. But it's sad. It's not the same in terms of volume, and I don't think Subaru is happy with that.
No. And I don't. They shouldn't be, especially when they're selling gangbusters of everything else.
Yeah, and the BRZ, by niche car standards, is doing just fine. Yes. And those numbers haven't really cratered.
Again, that's a niche car, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Let's talk about the VB as it sits and maybe where some hiccups came in. All right. The first thing everybody said when they saw a new VB was the over fender black plastic cladding. I think Subaru took a risk with that styling and it whiffed hard. I think it whiffed really hard. And I think it immediately turned a lot of people off from it because it happened at the exact same time some other interesting prospects were hitting the market. I think it kind of, and it's crazy to say this because I remember Subaru kind of being it like, you almost kind of love it because it's ugly. if that makes sense. You know, look at a Bug Eye. I
Yeah.
love Bug Eyes. I still love Bug Eyes. And by no standard is that a good looking car. It's not.
Yep. I remember what it looked like when it was new, and I thought, "Oh man, that's weird." I didn't call it ugly, but it was different, and I didn't know what to think of it.
Um, I think they whiffed kind of hard on it. And then, you know what, that, like I said, at the same time, you started having things like the Elantra N, you had really
Yep.
good looking Civic Type R's. You had,
Yes.
you know, you could get another all-wheel drive kind of thing with a Golf R. You know, there's a lot of options that made people go, I don't know, you know, because the price is all up, you know, going quite a ways up too. I mean, this is no longer the $24,000 car that it was in 2002. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, let's get to that second. Let's talk about styling first. So,
Yeah.
I like the way the Elantra N looks. I know not everybody
I
does,
hate
but
it.
that's okay.
I can't stand it personally. I don't like the body lines of that vehicle at all. But
That's fair.
me. To me, it just looks like a Camry, and
Mm,
everything about me hates a Camry. So
okay. I like the way the new Acura or yeah, Acura Integra looks, except that's a very different looking car than WRX. They're not exactly competitors, but just the styling language is so completely different. Small headlights, small taillights, smooth body lines versus like huge grille and plastic over fenders and a weird like plastic bumper in the back.
and you know, here's another. So again, we're talking stock for stock here. Okay.
Sure.
Um, it made the car look odd. There's things about those black over fenders that when you paint them, a lot of the things I didn't like about the car immediately went away. Because they're black,
Okay.
they tend to make the fender gap look so much larger than it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's actually kind of like it kind of gives it an off-roady vibe, but like a lot of the people who buy WRXs in the States, that's not what was drawing them in. You know what I mean?
Right. I like the way the wilderness trim package cars look. I didn't like them at first, but now I see them on the road and I think, okay,
Oh,
it makes sense. It's
so
coherent.
so I think if Subaru would have released the VB, maybe I think they should have released it with painted fenders, okay? However much more that
Okay.
costs them extra. And then if they were to have released a wilderness edition later with the unpainted fenders, the black fenders, you know, and make that a stylish option, I bet
Yes.
you all of us would have looked at that differently.
Totally agree. People would lose their minds.
They
It
would
was
have
a
lost
marketing problem.
their shit. They would have been, oh my God, they would have been hyped as hell about it. But
Yep.
what it ended up looking like is this is the cheap model, and Subaru didn't want to paint those. And that's
Yep.
like, I think it came across as making the car look cheaper than it actually was.
Yep. I
Because
agree. They
again,
did too much.
if you take a look at like somebody should grab a picture of our VB and throw it in the chat real quick. Our VB looks awesome, and
Yeah.
it's all it's really done to it. Okay, the only thing that's really done to it, yeah, is we painted the fenders, and that's still on the stock wheels.
Thanks, Randy. Oh God, yeah, that looks nice.
That's what it would have looked like stock. Now, if they released that stock, that's what it would have looked like. That's stock ride height. That is some black wheels. That is OEM factory, the red shit. That's all Subaru factory stuff. Okay.
Wow.
So like
Yep,
if
that's
they
sharp.
would have sold that, if that what was sitting on the lot, I think we would not be talking these numbers right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
No notes. I totally agree. I think Subaru probably had good reason to believe that they wanted to keep the brand image consistent, and all of their other cars have become a little more off-roady over time, and they've sold 1 million of them as a result. Not everybody wants a truck, but they still want to go off-road.
But
So they thought they were going to bring the WRX along with them, and I don't think it played right.
I don't think they understand what sells a WRX. And thankfully there's the aftermarket. It took them a while to catch up. The aftermarket kind of started figuring out what made it work. And you can easily get painted fenders for these now. Okay. So if you've got a VB, you can get painted fenders and it looks so much better. Again, that picture, perfect example. If that's what they sold off the lot, it would have slayed. Okay. And, I think the WRX actually did a very good job of, the legacy's gone. Okay. I saw somebody say something in the chat about the legacy. The legacy is gone, but I think the WRX did a very good job of like giving the legacy GT owners, like trying to straddle what a WRX and a legacy GT was. It could do both. It was big enough to do both. And honestly, if you get a higher trim model with a nicer interior and stuff, it was a nice car. Like, and I know people complain about the infotainment. The infotainment system didn't bug me that much. And the more cars go into the future, the more infotainment stuff is going to be more and more annoying. And it is what it is. But
maybe not.
I don't know. Me personally, I have seen a lot of manufacturers pulling back and trying to give more like actual buttons and dials and tactile feel stuff, which is cool. I think I would like to see more of that. Maybe Subaru learned a lesson, went a little too far. Now they're going to pull it back. I don't know. I would like to see that pulled back. I would like to see the option of having a very more, a super base model. But I think they maybe save costs by kind of keeping everybody into one type. So
yeah, I agree. So I'd like to think that legacy buyers would hate the plastic fenders, but would love the painted fenders.
Yeah, and I think you would have pulled more of those people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
This car was trying to do a lot of things, and I think it missed the mark with who they were aiming at for the most part.
Yeah. For big screens and infotainment systems, I think manufacturers jumped on that a little too hard because of potential cost savings.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say I claim to know the exact reason they changed it back.
I've even seen that. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. I had a coworker that had a base model legacy. Ugly is an understatement. Split screen, very basic. Oh.
I've never actually seen one. Like oh wow, that is horrible.
That is It's two regular sized doubled in touch screens, but they're split, and that's what became. I had a coworker.
All of the HVAC and stuff is on that bottom screen. You got to poke it to get it to do what you want.
Yeah,
that is horrific. Yeah. And Subaru should be like, whoever designed that should be immediately fired.
Yep,
that's so bad. That's
oh gosh, that was like 2022. Yeah, that was 2 jobs ago.
Yeah, wow. Wow. I had no idea they were that bad.
It's terrible.
I'm offended. I'm offended looking at that.
Base model legacy. Disgusting. Yeah.
I'd never purchase that. The second I sat in that, I'd be like, this is a heap. I'm done.
I can just hear corporate saying, it's not for you, man. It's for people who are very price conscious, want to have the super reliability. They just want to get to work, and it's not for you. You're an enthusiast.
No, I get that. But if you were to sit in this thing, okay, and base model legacy was still going to be what, high 20s?
Something like that. This was before inflation if that car existed. So call it middle 27. Call it 27.
It's going to be high 20s. Okay. Think of the other shit you can buy in the high 20s to low 30s that would just give you a better vibe than that. I'm sorry, man. That is an absolutely unexcusable infotainment system. I'm pissed off now. You know what? I see why the legacy's gone, and it's because of that.
Yeah.
There's
something to be said.
Somebody mailed that shit in.
That was straight cost savings. That was designed by spreadsheet.
That was a 22 WRX also, so they use that same one. The base model WRX.
Wait, that was
legacy and WRX both used it. Yeah.
Oh, that's even worse.
Dude, just think of this. Let's say you were an older WRX owner, or maybe you were in your buddy's VA, okay, and you're like, man, I loved his car. I want to go check out something. And then you hop in this thing. You go to the dealer, And here's this thing with these weird fenders and that infotainment system. I'd walk straight to the Honda dealer.
Dude, there's no way. I don't think that came to America. I've never seen that
Dude,
ugly double screen.
Look, I'm gonna always give Adam the benefit of the doubt here. Adam knows what the hell he's talking about because he has to.
Okay.
Because it's his damn job.
Okay.
You know
Okay,
what I
okay,
mean?
okay. I'm just astounded.
No, I know it, Mary. I know not all WRXs look like that. Our WRX doesn't look like that. I actually really like the full screen infotainment thing. It's a little weird. Took me a bit to get used to. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. You know, I didn't think
Driving is an experience. You just swear up and down about how manual is the only way because it's an experience.
I'm with you, and I would prefer to have nice tactile dials and stuff. I agree with that, but it wasn't like I wasn't as angry at it as I thought. And I got to drive it around for a weekend, and at first it was a little weird, and then I kind of got used to it, and it wasn't a big deal. You know, I'm one of those people though that once I set climate control where I want it, I don't touch it. You know,
I get it. I'm very adaptable too. I've driven, loaner Outbacks and all of that. You do get used to it, but we're talking about principles here. We're talking about styling. I never look at my BRZ and think, I wish this car looked different. Yeah. And same with the infotainment inside. I never hate the infotainment. I love sitting in the car and driving it. So,
but your BRZ is a different experience. We're not everybody. Okay. We are not everybody. And I'm learning this more and more as I drive my newer GMC truck around. I got a Denali with all the nice shit. Okay. And my infotainment is sick. It just works, and I still have buttons and everything else. I love my new setup. Okay. I'm in love with my new truck. And like now after experiencing that on like a road trip or whatever, and I'm more offended at this. A modern vehicle shouldn't be that. Okay. We could sit here for a half an hour and talk about that. So we're going to have to continue on, but
fine.
So maybe that could have been tweaked. Okay.
Yep.
So cost, let's talk about that. Okay. It did get more expensive, but
inflation calculator.
I want to know so let's do an inflation calculator from a 2002 WRX, which was 24.5 base model. So nobody was getting off the lot under 25.
Okay.
So
$25,000 in May 2002, and we're going to advance to May 2025.
Yep.
That is $44,700.
Yep. And that is hard for somebody like me to swallow.
Yep.
We
got to put a disclaimer out here. Wages do not rise at the same level of inflation, unfortunately. And throughout my life, wages have risen a little bit slower than inflation, which means I'm making less money than I was last year. Well, not anymore. I have a great job, but I'm saying as a general rule.
Yeah.
I bought my STI in 2015 for $35,000. And in hindsight, that was a screaming deal. I mean, I paid MSRP for it, but what I was buying was amazing. And I regret none of it. And I never thought that $35K was, well, I'm blessed to be able to say I bought an STI new $35K, but it stayed at $35,000 for many, many years. And last year at the Chicago Auto Show Media Day, I talked to one of the guys who was in product planning, and he brought this up saying, we made that car in between the lines. He said, we made that car cheaper every year. And that is an accomplishment from just a product selling, product design standpoint.
Well, so to Subaru's defense too, they really, other than, chassis updates and small stuff, didn't really update that car a ton. There wasn't major drivetrain changes or anything until the WRX with the FA. But that's basically the same engine they were using all the way back in 92.
You're not wrong, but they made the total cost of that vehicle cheaper every year so they could keep it the same, even though inflation was always biting them a little bit every year.
Yeah, but they were also selling them too. So it helped.
Sure.
It's hard to do that sort of thing when you're not moving a bunch of them.
So 2002 WRX, even if we went and looked at the WRX cost from, let's say, 08, something that's a little more modern. But we can put that aside because I don't think it'll matter. Call it $45,000 gets you a top trim WRX now. But the base model is now what, 37,000?
Yeah.
It's inflation that's making us crazy. The cost has actually gone down over time.
That's one of the downsides of getting older. I think the mindset of what a vehicle should cost does not keep up with inflation either.
Sure.
So so really what the price of this car isn't anywhere near as bad as we thought.
Nope,
but
totally
for
agree.
somebody like myself, and I'm looking at a $35 some $1,000 car for a WRX, when in my brain it should be $25,000, even though those numbers just don't exist anymore. It's a hard pill for me to swallow. And I think there are more like me, especially with how much stuff jumped from like 19 to 20, and then the post-COVID era, the like explosion in inflation, like stuff jumped real fast.
It's still going, man. I just went through a planning exercise, getting our plan loss ratio set for the upcoming year. And inflation is still ticking along pretty high. It's not 1 or 2% like it was pre-COVID.
No, not at all. So that's
Bad part is no STI, because if an STI was out there for $50,000, I'd be driving that rather than a BRZ, because it's such a cool car.
It's true. And I think that would in turn then have helped WRX sales. And,
totally.
I think if you had an STI version, they put it on 20-inch wheels, they put big flashy Brembos on it, painted the cladding, and then, put a cool bumper and a wing on it. And it didn't look like it was sitting like a monster truck from the factory. People would have seen what the car could be and then would have been more apt to buy the base model. I know it seems backwards on that's how that works, but I can tell you
how it works.
Z06s, Corvette Z06s and Z01s and shit like that sell base model Corvettes.
And base model Corvettes are really good, so they're worth buying. Yep, totally agree. Yep, all I want was a Civic Type R, a modern, nice-looking FL5 Civic Type R, except what I actually want is that, but a Subaru WRX STI.
And what Adam's saying, too, is I'm with Adam. I don't think they had to do much to give us an STI version. Paint skirts, put a good set of wheels and brakes on it, put a proper STI 6-speed in it, and it is so easy for them to make power with the FA24. They could have, literally a slightly different turbo and a slightly different cam thing would have made like 350. It would have been a rocket ship. They wouldn't have had to change anything with the STI drivetrain that already existed. They already had the development for that. And that car would have sold like hotcakes at $50K.
And their warranty breakdown rates had to have been lower than the EJ257.
Oh, for sure.
It's a better motor.
For sure. For sure. People would have ate that shit right up. So, that's it. These are misses. Now there's some things we have talked about, things that the VB did really well. Okay. The VB, the FA24 is phenomenal. Okay. Like if we're just looking at that, FA24 is really good. Other than the slight styling misses, I think the car overall was decent. I think my biggest complaint, though, of the vehicle is it has gotten so big. It's huge.
Yeah.
So, what I want to wander into now is we've talked about our complaints with the VB. I want to talk about what a quote-unquote VC could be. Okay? What would you like to see out of the next generation WRX or replacement for this model? Okay, because I
got two answers for you.
I have my own wishes, but what would you like to see?
Okay, I've got two answers for you. I'll start with the unrealistic answer because that's the happy one, which is first of all, I'm really tall, so sell me like the smaller WRX. Make it smaller. Make it like a mini sedan. I don't want to call it a mini sedan because that's selling it the wrong way, but just take weight out of that car. Make it back to like 3,100 pounds rather than 3,400 pounds. And just I would make the interior a little bit nicer, but that's more on styling rather than
Yeah.
cost of materials. I really like the way my 2015 STI looked. It had a basic radio, pre-touchscreen, but I liked it. It's old now, and I don't think I would like it today. But every time I look at that monster touchscreen, I don't, and in the VB, I just don't like it. So just change that. You don't even have to make it more expensive. And that's it. Like I wouldn't really ask for much. Just make it a little smaller, take some weight out of it so it's a better performing car. I was so happy with how much stuff I could put in my VA. I don't need the car to get any larger, but that's an industry problem and I don't think we're going to solve it. So that's the unrealistic one. The realistic one is it's probably going to stay the same size, same weight, and they're going to make it a hybrid. They might even take away the manual. And I think that it could potentially have legs only if it is a very well performing car. I would love to have a Subaru hybrid sports car. I will believe it after I see it, but man, that would be so cool. Give me 20 or 30 miles of range on pure battery power and then turn the motor on, make a bunch of noise out the back, and just make it like a rally car on steroids. That would be so cool.
Okay. I have a feeling the next STI is going to have some sort of like hybrid-esque drivetrain, and I think there's some interesting ways you could implement it. I think it's going to add a ton of weight and a ton of complexity, which is going to hurt the aftermarket. But the aftermarket has figured it out. Okay, where there's a will, there's a way.
That's right.
What I would prefer to see is Subaru take a complete step back. Okay, and I agree with you. Bigger isn't always better, and but you said that the entire industry is going larger. The reality of it is that's not entirely true. And I'm going to point right at the GR Corolla. That car is significantly smaller. You can make that, okay? Like, I like the idea of a mini sedan. I think a mini sedan would kill it. And I bet you would see the market try to chase Subaru in that direction. I think they need to take a look at, like, the GD era of sizing. You know, somewhere in between the GR and VA and the GC, you're never going to see anything that small again. They'll never pass crash standards. But I think they can do something GD-esque. And I know it can be done because Audi and Volkswagen are slaying it, okay? And I think they would kill in Europe. It would do better in Japan, okay? Because the vehicle isn't so freaking massive. And I think you would bring a lot of people like you and I, a little more interested in this. Now, what I would like to see is them focus on simplicity. So like hybrid is cool, but I really, if they were to market this in a way that it is very much pointed towards keeping it simple, knowing that the aftermarket is going to go nuts with this thing. Let the aftermarket literally market this car for you, okay? Keep it simple. If you were to only make a WRX, but you were to physically make it smaller, and I think the FA24 is the answer. An STI model would be sick. It would be great, and we can always hope. Something tells me there is more to the equation as to why we can't get that Getrag back base 6-speed. Probably has something to do with some licensing thing with Getrag, and they're not willing to do the thing. But if you were to make it physically smaller, which would in turn knock some weight out of it, I don't think we're ever going to see a 3,100 pound car again, but we could see a 3,400 pound STI, but if it was
as a hybrid or non-hybrid,
simple.
Oh,
Simple. No, I mean, you got to think, man. The GD STI, that was still a 3,400 pound car, man.
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, they were not super light. They were, 3,400 pounds. The
Yeah.
02 WRX was 3,150. And
All
that
right,
car
let's
feels
unpack this.
infinitely lighter and more tossable than even a VA.
Okay.
Now,
Okay, I can see that.
where Adam is talking, like, I would love to see him do a DSG. Okay, and this is me being a purist. I think they should offer a manual and a DSG. If they did an STI DSG and really they have to make that thing strong. And if they made it strong with an aftermarket mindset, I'm telling you, man, I think they could bring back that enthusiast excitement of it again. And again, if Volkswagen can do it, Subaru's got the ability to work with Toyota to do some of this shit.
Well, let's unpack this a little bit.
Okay.
Honda accidentally endeared itself to the aftermarket community because the K24 back in the day, or all of their motors, I guess, were just bulletproof in that first wave of tuner culture. I don't think they designed those motors
It's way before
with the
that.
aftermarket in mind.
It's B. Okay. And even before that, it was D. Like single overhead cam crap from the late 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just don't believe that they built that with the aftermarket in mind. That was just a bonus. It was just free publicity.
Yeah, and no. Okay. The culture in Japan in the 90s was a little different. The automotive landscape was a little different.
Okay.
One, they were blatantly lying with a lot of these vehicles. WRXs, Evos, GTRs, Supras, all of them were blatantly lying with this, 276 horsepower BS. And then a lot of them, stock-ish derived vehicle racing was a very big deal. It was a huge source of pride. Okay. So their Halo cars needed to compete at that level and use most of their stock components. So you had vehicles that were being freakishly overbuilt for what they were.
Right. Okay.
So they might not have been entirely building stuff for the aftermarket, but you also got to remember all of these companies had arms of them that kind of were aftermarket. You know what I mean? Nissan had Nismo.
Yep.
Honda had Mugen. And they were trying to push them in certain directions too. And
yeah,
there was always performance concepts or racing thought in mind, and through that the aftermarket went in. I mean, hell, Chevrolet did the same thing when they took the C5 Vet and then asked the guys who were running the Le Mans program, what do you guys want out of this? And they went, I want fixed headlights and I want an opening in the front for cooling. C6 Vet.
Yep, that's true. Where I'm going with this is I think Subaru, at least partially, accidentally endeared itself to the aftermarket. I think they wanted to go racing and they built stuff for themselves. And I think it was sort of a lucky coincidence that the aftermarket jumped on it so hard. Maybe I'm being uncharitable.
You are.
Okay. So DSG, I agree with that. Manual, I am assuming they're going to keep it. Second part of my point, you said simple. Oh, okay, let's go back. I thought I was interrupting you. Okay,
no,
I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, because there's another thought of this too that I want to throw out there because I'm interested to see what your take is on it. So keep going.
When you say simple, well, I finally got a chance to sit in an ND3 Miata, and man, does that car just make sense. I don't fit, so I can't own one, but man, every square inch of that car is optimized for simple, and it is really good at what it is. It is the best English roadster of all time. It just happens to be made in Japan. I wish Subaru would take that approach with just optimizing the hell out of a car and making it as simple as possible and making it the best version of itself.
Yeah, I gotta be real.
It doesn't have to be small.
I truly believe, because I almost fit in an ND. I think they did a very good job with the BRZ with that, especially the first gen. The second gen, they kind of gussied it up a little bit. I don't hate them for this. Okay.
Sure.
The first gen to me feels like a 90s car done correctly, and the second gen feels like they took a swing at a Cayman. But the first gen, my BRZ, I think is exactly all it needs to be. It's great. And so I think they did a good job with that. I think but I would like to see that same approach of let's keep it stupid simple, thrown into a WRX. Like, we want to make a driving enjoyment all-wheel drive car. You know, our goals may be mid 300s. We're gonna stick some mechanical diffs in here, not electronic diffs. You know, like the simple stuff that made those old cars fun, and why people are, you know, the price of GD, you know, STIs are going through the roof right now. Grab some of that energy. You know, it would behoove them to go, why do people want to buy this? And then try to absolutely plummet the value of those because this other car came out.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't have to be a mega small car. I'm willing to let it be, you know, bigger, and it's going to stay 4 doors. That's fine. It just cannot be a halo car. Is not the right way to think about this, because
no, it's not at all. They have other vehicles that can do what the WRX does too. You know what I mean? Like, if you need a car that has all of the stuff, you know what I mean? And it's larger. Like, there's other vehicles you could mess, or maybe that's what the Legacy was supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, that was supposed to be the bigger version. You know, maybe they call the VC, it kind of is its own thing, or maybe the Impreza just gets fat and we go into a submodel of that's smaller. So, like, a good example is Audi, okay? Audi, the A4, which then spawned the S4, okay? So the B5 was about GD chassis size, okay? If you look at a current A4, it's massive. But if you look at the current A3, it's like the size of the B5 A4. So, like, maybe it's time, like, the Impreza just is a bigger car, and that's what it needs to be, and they make a sub-model. And, like, the current Crosstrek doesn't really share a ton with the current WRX. It's supposed to be Impreza-based, but that's your chassis. Make a sedan version of that damn thing. It's smaller. And just you put it, you know, knock it off its lift kit and start with that.
Yep, I agree.
And I'm going to keep screaming it, and Adam's going to keep screaming it. For fuck's sakes, just give us a damn turbo Crosstrek. I guarantee they got F820s falling out their ass everywhere that they don't know what to do with right now, and just shove them in there. Give us F820s. They don't even have to be 24s. I prefer the 24. But, like, I'd take a hybrid if it was a high boost hybrid where it had like 10 seconds of turbo electric mode, where it was 250 horsepower for 10 seconds. Then the battery's overheated and it went back to whatever 180 normal horsepower. That would be perfect. Give me that. Gravel Express. It's going to be so heavy, though. I'd love to see them just keep it simple. Manual, easy turbo engine that's making torque down low. You know, you can even put a smaller turbo than the WRX if you want, but I think just for cost's sake, they put the WRX engine in it, maybe detune it, whatever. You know, they don't got to do much with it. And just give us, oh my God, it would sell. Just call it the Gravel Express. You could tack on 10 grand to the top of it. Everybody lose their minds.
Yep. I want 10 to 20 to 30 miles of pure electric range, because I just want to be an eco nerd, and then I want all of the performance when I put my foot down. That's what I really want.
Yeah,
but
well, you're
buying this guy.
I'm a nerd. Going back to what I think, I would love to see them, like, finally hear the calls of us screaming, look, you need to make a submodel under an Impreza. Okay, and I think that is if it's ever going to happen, it's going to need to go that route.
I think sedans should be left as sedans and not try to be replacements for SUVs like the Toyota Crown. It's the weirdest shaped sedan I've ever seen.
I don't think like the Impreza is going to be the Impreza. I don't think it should change. If it got any bigger, I think everybody's going to run away from it. But all Subarus have got bigger. I would like to see them take the Impreza and go smaller. But I don't know if they will or are willing to do that. But a new model, call it whatever you want, I think they could do.
I think these chassis are getting bigger, because people are getting bigger and they're demanding more space. I think that was true for the runway for a while on why cars got bigger every year. But now I think the reason is they're beefing up those chassis because they know batteries are coming and the cars are going to turn into 5,000-pound monsters overnight. And they don't want to redesign the chassis twice.
I think they thought that, but a whole lot has happened in the past few weeks as far as that goes. We'll see how long that sticks around, different administrations change a lot of stuff, and the unfortunate reality is when the pendulum swings one way, it then has to swing all the way back the other. So we will see.
I liked driving my battery electric car in Phoenix. I hated the charging aspect of it. So give me a high performance hybrid so I can just like a hands-free adaptive cruise through all my city traffic, and then I can stomp on it on the back roads and have all the turbo noises.
Not trying to sound boomery, but I'm not looking forward to the 15-year later battery replacement.
Well, I think there's hope out there too, because battery chemistry does get better every year. And as long as it can be recycled and not just thrown in the garbage or thrown in the ocean, then it only comes down to cost. And if I'm getting better performance, maybe I'm okay with it. Or you can junkyard pull it and get,
Are you going to be down with maybe though? If you're Subaru, I don't know. Maybe I can't live on, I believe they should maybe toy around with some of these models. But the idea of like it, maybe you can do something like that with the Impreza. You know what I mean? Maybe they make a hybrid STI kind of thing. Like I think there's some interesting stuff you could do with like electric motors on each side, or maybe some sort of funny electric differential powering the rear. So you could really get the car to rotate. I think you could do some neat stuff with that could drastically hide the weight of everything that you just added to the car. But it's going to come at the cost of that vehicle getting large, like very large. Yeah. And
do you remember the Vision GT from Subaru in Gran Turismo?
Yeah.
It was a SUV looking thing, hatchback. I think it was pure battery, or who knows, it's a concept car, but it had 4-wheel torque vectoring from the electric motors. Mm-hmm. That car was massive, but it had just hysterical performance because it's a concept car.
Well, it was
also in a video game. Make it real. What's that?
It's also in a video game. This isn't real. And there's no way around this. I know you aren't going to like this, but you cannot bend to physics. Tires are tires, brakes are brakes, pavement is pavement. Gravity exists, air exists. These things all exist. Heavy cars, big cars, keeping them like, I'm going to look at this as a track slut, because it's what I am at my core. Like the upkeep costs of larger vehicles is just more expensive. You got to put bigger tires.
Well, we're having a different argument here. First of all, R35 GTR proved that fat cars can party.
Yeah, except, let's pump the brakes real effing fast. Go fucking replace the brakes on a GTR. And tell me how cool that is. Go look at the tires on a GTR and then go compare it to your STI and tell me how cool that is.
How much is it to replace the brakes?
There is a reason nobody runs those things in grid life, even though they have came so drastically down in price.
Yeah.
I'm not nuts.
That's a good point.
And then it's one of the big reasons that you see a lot of these guys in like big Camaros and things like that. They end up in C6 Z06s because they're lighter and they don't eat brakes, and they, they still have big tires and everything, but they don't go through them anywhere near as fast.
Track cars, though, it's a small niche inside of an already small niche called tuner cars.
But this comes into people's brains when it gets out there that a brake job on this big sweet STI Impreza is $5,000. You know what I mean?
I agree. It's not the Subaru ethos. Subaru
No.
is simple and reliable.
That's why I'm like, I want to see something like a Audi S3-esque, sizing WRX. Like, I think they need to slap the WRX. You could have the WRX on 2 models even. And they're okay with fucking with badges. Let them.
Actually, I don't know what I would really recommend for a new WRX, but I would totally buy a Gravel Express. Like as a daily, as a fun.
We all are like, we would totally. There's nobody in this chat. There's not a single soul in this chat who could honestly say straight to your face
That's a bad idea.
that they wouldn't be about a Gravel Express, a WRX engine and a Crosstrek. There's nobody in this chat.
I'll call it high performance hybrid Crosstrek.
No, then you're gonna call that something else. You're going to call that the WRX plus B or something. I don't know. The Gravel Express Lightning. Like, I don't know. And JC down there, if manual, yeah. So if they literally put the WRX, the drivetrain from the current VB in a Crosstrek, it would sell like fucking hotcakes. Because it would be exciting and a little bit different, and everybody would want that as a daily.
Yep. It would sell. It would absolutely sell.
So, I don't.
Oh man, we've been yelling at each other in agreement for like an hour. So, what else we got? Any other points to belabor on this?
That was really it. I mean, we can open the floor up to any questions or anything anybody wants to say, but I had a feeling that was going to kill this basically the entire hour. Like I was like, I know this is where this is going to go. So, it is what it is. Yep. 15 to 19 GTR EBC, basic like yellow packaging. Okay. So nothing fancy. That's $1,700 for the fronts. Maybe that is for.
Well, it looks like $1,200. Okay.
2027 Justy. Can we get smaller hatches? Dude, I'm about that life. Yep. Give me 150 horsepower, like tiny little thing. And I'd be so in that.
Oh, we got a piece of industry news for today. So 15 or what is it? Company 23?
Hey, that's a big one. So, okay, let's talk about that real quick. So my understanding of this, okay, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is Company 23 acquired, and I'm not sure exactly how this went down, but I know Tom, who is the owner of Kartboy, acquired Kartboy, and Tom is a part of this whole package and now is with Company 23. Now, some people would say, you hear a lot of these companies getting bought out and whatever, and usually by private equity and things like that. That is not Company 23. This is an already, we've had Mark on from Company 23, and he was great. This is a Subaru-oriented brand getting in with another, like, OG, one of the most OG Subaru brands in the game, coming together, and the main players are staying on, and I think it's great. This is not like private equity buying them out and, running it into the dirt. This is one company working with another company, and honestly, I think their manufacturing capabilities and stuff, and years of know-how by Tom and all, I think it's going to work out really well. I'm trying to get them on the podcast. I've been working on that. I've been trying to get Tom on forever, and then this happened. I'm like, holy cow. And I'm like, I'm never going to get him on now. And he was like, it actually opened up time for me, so I could probably do this in the not too distant future.
Cool.
But
yep, I like that.
I think it's great. It basically what Serapin Wolf said, Company 23 is taking the manufacturing side of it, and it frees Tom up to do development, which is awesome, because that's the kind of brand you want to go making awesome, reasonably priced parts. Anybody's ever messed with a Kartboy shifter, the Kartboy shifter, these are mainstays in the community. I want Tom to start mass producing Kartboy tall boys, so everybody can get in on that.
Short throw, tall shifters.
It's so good.
Yep.
So yeah,
I want one for my BRZ.
I think it's great. When I saw it, I'm just like, wow, these are two companies that are really awesome, and now they're working together. It was at no point was it. Most of the time when I see things like this, I either think, man, that kind of sucks. Somebody kind of lost out to that, or like the consumer's gonna lose in one way or another.
Yeah.
I think of a merger of two major tuning platforms that came together. But that's not the vibe I got from this at all. I was like, and everybody seemed to be the same way. Everybody was just super stoked for it. I think it's great.
Yep, I agree. Yep, this seems like a win of synergies, as they say. Actual synergies.
Yep, good stuff. So
cool.
Yep, I think we should see big stuff coming from both sides of that. All right, now
do we have any questions in the chat? Get some questions in the chat.
Can somebody please make a reverse scoop for the VA hood?
Oh, okay. Okay. So would it be a V mount or what?
The problem with the VA hood, I don't know how you can make a reverse scoop because the VA hood, most of the hood is built into it. You'd have to get a totally separate hood.
Yep. It's not a scoop. It's integrated.
Yeah, that would be a tough one, bud. No, I don't know. Thoughts on HKS coilovers? There was a time you could do worse. Okay, you could do worse. But if you're going to spend the money on a set of HKS coilovers, I think you can do better. Something like I think you get more value from like Fortune, something like that. Maybe KW. You're going to spend a decent amount on HKSs. Again,
doesn't make them bad.
It doesn't make them bad. I don't think the value proposition is there quite like it used to be. But again, you could do a lot worse. So, yep.
What else should I use my VB? D. Alex Butler, you know better. So the answer is 0W20. Unless you're on the track, then 030 or potentially 040. But
530.
Stop it.
530.
No, it's just more wear at startup. With modern oil tech, you can have all the width you want in oil viscosity. You'll still get plenty of protection on the 30 side, even at 0.
Okay. Something 30 weight, a quality, oil and a 30 weight.
Yep.
So
Motul 8100 power. That's what I would say.
Yep. Somebody's like, I like my HKS suspension. Yeah, it's not a bad suspension. It's not a bad suspension anyway. If you're looking for something off the shelf, you definitely could do worse if you need something in a hurry, depending on what you're trying to do. Again, I think there are better options and even better options you can get off the shelf, but that doesn't mean it's like a bad option, really just depends on what you're after. Mary Fields, what's your opinion about selling a built high horsepower EJ Subaru in today's market? I sell them daily. I sell them daily, literally daily. It's literally what I do. I would still say 80+% of the people I talk to, I'm talking to about an EJ. That's not an exaggeration at all. So
that's sad.
I don't think so, because what I'm seeing, it's not so many. Don't get me wrong. I get a bunch of VA people trying to keep the cars on the road, whatever. But what I'm starting to get more and more of, and I really like, is they're not trying to build 900 horsepower street nut cars. What they're trying to build is they're people who bought an STI. They couldn't afford an STI back in the day and bought one now and want to do it the right way now. So it's almost like resto mod stuff, and it is so much fun because they're down to do it right, and they end up with great cars, and they're not hell-bent on big horsepower. They're hell-bent on a great experience. So if you're purchasing or if you're trying to build something towards an experience versus a number, you're going to have way more fun. So love it. Drove crashes WRX and was so scared to curb rash it. Too wide, bad visibility. A lot of modern cars. Honestly, a VB has pretty good visibility compared to most modern vehicles. Like, oh man, don't drive a new Camaro. Holy shit. I feel like you're in a spaceship.
Oh,
It's bad.
Yeah. Jerry's one of like he's an OG from like the GC era.
Yep.
And that's a very different car to a VB. Very different size too.
He's used to driving fish tanks. You know what I mean? Where everything was windows and like a GC.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Matt got to dip out early. Wanted to say thank you for helping me diag my engine last couple of days. We're gonna get you figured out. Let's not talk shit, Matt. We're gonna get you figured out. That might be a discussion for another time, but we got a lot going. I've got to talk to the powers that be about your particular situation. I did not forget about you. We're still working on stuff on that.
Nice. You love to see it.
Yeah, that was one of those. Yeah, let's not even get into it. That could go real bad real fast. Warranty, what oil do you run in your BRZ?
Yeah, Motul 8100 power 0W20. I run it on track as well, but that's probably a bad idea. So it should be 030. I preached low viscosity oil for a long time. Well, using whatever the manufacturer recommended. But realistically, for how hard I drive the car on track, I could get away with 0W20 just fine. But just for a little safety margin, 030. But why 8100 power? Because it's not 300V, which apparently doesn't have detergents for street use, or not enough anyway. So the best of the rest.
My BRZ, which is an FA20, which I have loaned to everybody on the God's green earth to beat the shit out of. Jordan currently has it. I've let Cal drive it. I've let, since we're talking 86 day, which was yesterday, Cal Fortner borrowed it for an entire weekend. I had an entire crew of not entirely great driving Army vets take it and beat the shit out of it. I've let Dylan beat the shit out of it for a weekend. You name it. People have beat I've just loaned this car to everybody. And when I get in it, I just treat it like shit. I have ran a variation of either 530 or 540 in that for its entire life. And I just make sure I change the oil a lot. And it does not care. It's still the stock engine. It hardly burns any oil. It has been nothing but great to me. If it does pop, it's getting an FA24. And, maybe I'll think a little differently about it, but she's been a good unit for me, man. So,
and for the record, if your motor pops, FA24 long block is going in, right? None of this hybrid 2.0 chamber matched heads.
No, we might actually. No, real talk. If I do the hybrid thing, I may try the chamber match heads, but I think we have a different approach. IAG.
Okay.
We have been talking about this a little bit. Is this something that's coming anytime soon? Please do not PM me on this. It's not anytime soon, but we have talked about the idea of, developing the ability to do that. And I think it'd be a really awesome option for people who pop their BRZ engine. Being able to properly chamber match their stuff, not kind of a cheesy one, but like an actual proper chamber match and making that work. We got some other really cool stuff coming down the pipe for the FA platform just in general that I can't talk about, but it's going to be pretty damn game changing. I know Adam showed me some stuff that I can't talk about, but I am big excited about. So
Dewey, FA Motors, you need to get on it soon because Subaru sold 427 WRXs last month.
We have the WRX one out, okay? And I gotta be real. Yeah, we need to get the BRZ one out. And I'm gonna keep screaming this because I get asked this 3-4 times a week. Hey, when's this thing coming out? I think the market for the BRZ stuff is larger than the WRX stuff. Okay. What do I know? Let's see. Sell it to me. Why don't mods add resale value? Seems to be a Subaru thing. Mods don't add resale value. I'm sorry. You're doing them for your enjoyment.
Alex, he's trolling at this point.
To the right person, particular modifications may add resale value. So instead of a bone stock Bug-Eye, if it had a, version 8 STI drivetrain in it, instead of $5,000, I would be willing to pay $10,000. So, It depends. You know what I mean? But you got to find the right person because you're not gonna be able to go into a lot and anybody care. So, yeah, I'm still trying to pillbox. What about VA builds? What about VA builds? I do a decent amount of VA builds. I talk to customers all the time with VA builds. All the time with VA builds. That still is happening nonstop, and that is a huge amount of my customers. Especially with like larger power street builds and stuff like that. I talk to a lot of those folks. So that's still pretty hot. And honestly, I'm surprised the GR really, the amount of like, what really blew my mind is how many coilovers we sold for the GR. And especially like the GR WRX. So I figured in my brain of brains, okay, you know, there had been many options for years in that. I can understand when you have like the older cars, resto mod stuff, or maybe we're upgrading to newer suspension. So that's going to be the GD chassis guys, right? And then the VA guys, that might be their first set of coilovers still. Okay. So, you know, but the GR guys, I was expecting like that to have been kind of played out and that was going to be a little slower, you know? I was wrong. Holy shit. We sold a ton of GR coilovers. We tore through those things. And I still get calls for people doing big GR builds. And honestly, I'm surprised at how many like larger track builds I'm seeing these days for GRs. A lot of people doing big track builds for GRs, which is cool. Super cool.
I like that.
I do too.
It could be a 15-year-old car. It could be either a track build, being they picked up the chassis for cheap, or it could be a 15-year-old car that's got a pile of miles on it, and it's time for suspension.
Alex Cowdrey, I want to make sure I'm spelling your name or saying your name right, but he's new. Nice to have you on here. IAG 550 or 750 closed deck for a track-only GDSTI at 300 wheel. You would be totally fine with an IAG 550, bud, but you need to really be honest with yourself. Are you going to take that past 400 wheel? Because if you are, just buy the 750. That's all there is to it. But if you are only going to be at 300 wheel horsepower, just go with a 550, man. I'd rather you spend your money on
another piece of news.
What's up?
So that GD WRX STI race car that was up at Ultimate Raceworks, URW.
Yeah.
That car used to be a Subaru Motorsports race car. Did you realize that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. It got sold on Bring a Trailer for too low. I won't say the number now, but somebody got the deal of a century on that car.
It was super dirt cheap. And there's it really cheap. Yeah.
People didn't realize it was a Subaru pedigreed car.
They didn't even have to realize it was a Subaru, and that doesn't mean it was like Vermont sports car built or Subaru in the factory built that. That's not where that came from. There was a company in Phoenix that got commissioned by Subaru to build some race cars. Okay, like, and that's I'm 99%.
It was one of them.
Yes, which doesn't mean that that's a bad car or that company is bad. It's not like it's pro drive though. Okay. So like you're putting it in a little bit differently. Just because somebody got some factory backing with money doesn't mean that's pro drive. You know what I mean?
Okay. So, that's fair, but I'm just hyped. I
don't want to take anything away from that car either. That car was extraordinarily well built and it did go for way too cheap. So somebody got a deal of a century.
Yeah. So
all right.
Alex Cowdrey, this last question, he was talking about NASA TT3, which is what reminded me of that car.
Okay, and now if you're going to be beating on this thing, bud, NASA TT3. So you're talking now. Also, let's put this into perspective too. I'm going to tweak my answer a little bit. You're probably going to try to spike as much torque as humanly possible at 300. Okay, you're going to try to get the flattest all the 300 you possibly can. Yeah, I just spring for the 750. Specifically for the head gaskets, and make sure you get the good head studs too, because then you don't got to worry about that. So
nice.
That's my 2 cents on that. So yeah, there was some more stuff in here. Rip Jeff Smith's BRZ for HPD sold me on the car. Yeah, it's great, dude. Like the BRZ is so good. It's ridiculous how good it is.
So That's OEM Jeff. He bought that car blown up, and then he bought or picked up a junkyard motor and swapped it himself. So he's in it for nothing, and he
Yeah.
drives the crap out of it, and he's going to keep it forever, and then give it to his kid as soon as his kid turns 16.
Yeah.
That's the way to do BRZs.
I honestly, it was kind of funny because I posted my thing for 86 Day yesterday. The amount of people were like, the only right way to do a BRZ is have multiple BRZs. And a lot of serious BRZ enthusiasts have multiples of them, especially since first gens are getting cheap. And I know Bailey's been talking about grabbing another first gen BRZ just so he can come do Tail of the Dragon shenanigans with me.
That's great. Yeah, I like that.
I think it's great.
I still need to tweak my coilovers, just see if I can find even more enjoyment out of the car.
You probably could. You really should come to Renfest with us this year in October. Well, I'll get you some dates.
October is going to be busy unless it's Halloween.
It'd be really late October, so it's probably going to be right near Halloween.
Okay.
So we'll talk about it.
Okay.
PW, if wanting 650 max, 750 or 950, easy. 950. I got to be real. The 750 is good to about 600 to the wheels. Okay. If you approach it the right way. If you plan on hanging out there, you plan on beating the shit out of the car though, I'm going to tell you that 500 to 550-ish wheel, you're going to want the 14 mil head studs and firelocks. If it's going to be tracked, just get the 950. 950 is awesome. What a great engine. You also, with the 950, you get the option of the D-stroker. Really depends on what you're doing. Okay. But I just tell you, dude, go to the 950. Don't even think about it. GRs are cheap enough, plus they're reasonably sized for utility. Yeah, I think GR hatches, they grow on me more by the day.
Yep. I do think they're ugly as all hell, but practical, very fun.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes. I don't know, even the look has grown on me, especially with the super gaudy fender flares. I really like a red hatch. Okay. And you put some 18 by 10 wheels with some gnarly 275 tires on it. And it's so
game rollers.
Yeah, dude. And make low 400s. It's all it needs to make. And so it keep a quiet exhaust on it and the whole thing. Yeah, I love it. I love everything about it. Wiring question. My RS with an EJ205. I finally pulled the trigger on the 750 long block. Does iWire carry something to convert to a different type of heads? No, but converting that over isn't as hard as you think it is if you are running a standalone, which I'm pretty sure you are. And if you are not, you should be. You and I can talk about this a little more later, Josh, but I don't think iWire makes a direct conversion, but converting isn't too bad. Forklift, let me run the BRZ next year when Jordan's done with it. Forklift, I am seriously not against that. We should talk about that seriously. I do at some point want to get that into a GLTC car, but we got to get there. 6-star, who do we need to talk to get IAG back at Subi Fest Cali 2 years in a row not being there? Buddy, that is above my head. I don't know. Maybe Adam's listening still. That's a super cool event. The biggest problem is it's literally the polar opposite side of this continent for us. We're in Maryland and it is the logistics of it are pretty brutal. I would like to see at least a small contingency of us go out and maybe support, one of our certified engine installer shops out there or something. I think that would be cool. Maybe kind of share a booth thing. I don't know. Well, we'll see. But yeah, it's logistically, it's brutal, man. So I don't know.
Man, I wonder if they could ship the IAG semi-trailer over on a rail car and then just rent a day cab and pull it to Subi Fest.
We'd have to get it back. Okay. And the amount of money that would take to do all of that. And then the other shows we would miss. It would kill us. So what we did the 1 year I went is we kind of did a tent and everything. We shipped it in a couple of fairly large containers and shipped everything over there. And that worked okay, but that's still a huge lift. You know what I mean? So I think it'd be cool to plan on it 6 months in advance, working with a particular shop or something. Just say, hey, we're going to send out 1 or 2 of our guys to just be representatives of this. Maybe we don't even sell anything out there. We just go out as representatives. And, like, we can go out there and do, a little seminar or something. I don't know. Just go out there and just represent the brand in some way. I think that would be cool. I think we should do more of that. That's my 2 cents.
I agree.
Maybe in the future. Josh, I got a box today. A box that was ordered long ago. A box from Sam at Dialed In. It contains a plug and play harness and harnesses for my M-Tron build. Ooh, Josh got cool stuff. Can finally get that mounted in the car and measure up the sub harness. And luckily, I'm off to work for the rest of the month recovering from surgery. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry about surgery, but that's sweet and all the sweet parts. That's awesome, Josh. Scott, this has been great. Need to head back to work though. Yeah, dude, we're gonna try to do more late night ones. I think these are fun. It's a whole different group. Do we come to Subi Fest, Texas? Again, one of those things I think as long as the racing schedule works out or I think if we can't bring all of IAG, I think we should bring 1 or 2 representatives of IAG just to come be a face. That's my 2 cents. And it might be something maybe we can talk about in the future. I think that would be cool. Adam, we'll be in Texas because I like barbecue. I might be going to the Texas one. I don't know. Are you guys going to Subi Fest Midwest? I don't think so. Mary, no, I'm asking for you. Come to Texas. Yeah, I mean, like Forklift said, Forklift from IAG. He's got a face for radio, but he'd be down. I think sending a few of us out there just to kind of go out there and be a face. You know what I mean? Maybe have a Ask Me Anything, table at somebody's booth. I think would be fun. And then, you could podcast that. I think that would be a riot. I think we could turn that into something where you come up to the table and talk and, we just sit and answer questions all day. I think it would be great. I think it'd be great for the community. So, that's my 2 cents. I think we did the thing though. I think we did the thing. Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for hopping on later. Those who joined us in the chat later, this is great. I think we're going to try to do more of these. This isn't going to be, every other week or anything like that, but we'll try to do these every at least, month or 2 kind of things where maybe we kick it a little bit later. Just to kind of, get some different faces in here and stuff. This was sweet. And I noticed that we got some more West Coasty people on here and it probably just lands in a time frame that makes more sense for them. So, maybe we'll do that a little more, and that could be a lot of fun. So, yeah, we could do primetime Thursday thing. Yeah, what other than that?
I like that.
Yeah, it's been great. So thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun, and we will see you later.
Lizard.